Welcome back to the Gridiron Address. Had another week off last week, but we're back at it again this week. I got Jason, host of Three from Deep, and Podcast Smitty, host of Quick Hits, all on Boom Broadcasting. Jason, Shannon, how are y'all doing tonight?
Doing good, man. I appreciate being on here. Excited about the NFL draft. We got the NBA playoffs heating up. A lot going on, man. This is a sports fan's dream this time of year.
Oh yeah. I'm doing good, man. We got one more week. Next Thursday will be the first round. So we're going to find out who's going first and who's going after that.
And look, we got a lot of positions to talk about before we get into it. Next week, it's going to be more of the same. We're going to try and wrap all this up before the draft hits. We're going to be doing tight ends, offensive line, and defensive line today. We'll kick it off with the tight ends. And Jason, do you have any honorable mentions that didn't quite crack your top five?
I'm going to go with a Mason Taylor at LSU. And not that I'm name dropping, but I'm going to name drop a little bit because he's the son of Jason Taylor, the old Miami Dolphin, and the nephew of Zach Thomas. So if you talk about some athleticism in your blood, homeboy got it from both sides. Good hands, very athletic kid. Needs to develop his technique a little bit more and kind of really needs to get kind of NFL ready. Definitely a project. But if anybody's going to have the genes to do it, that's Mr. Mason Taylor at LSU.
And my honorable mention, I had Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon. 97th percentile for his vertical. He had a 39-inch vertical at tight end. So that guy is super athletic. Issue with a lot of tight ends in this class is none of them are super strong run blockers, and Terrence Ferguson is one of them. So he'll need to develop that if he wants to become a three-down player. But he's willing in run blocking. He has the mentality to develop that skill set, but he just doesn't quite have it right now. To me, he feels like a late second, early third guy who's going to come in and be a solid contributor and give him a few years to develop and could potentially be a plus starter. But Shannon, who is your honorable mention for tight end?
My honorable mention is Gunnar Helm out of the University of Texas, 6'5", 241-pound kid. He's a vertical tight end. He likes to go downfield, especially with Clint Ewers and my man Arch Manning throwing you the ball. You better go ahead and get vertical. He likes to be vertical. He's a quick guy. He boxes out like he plays in the NBA. Great cover on the linebackers when it comes down to being a blocker. So I think that Gunner's probably going to be a late pick. I see him probably probably the late fourth round, maybe. That's being generous with Gunner. This tight end class, I think, is really, really good. But I think Gunner, with his vertical ability and his north and south and ability to break tackles, is going to be important in this draft with this pass-heavy NFL that we have now. He's going to be a very good underneath in the zone type of tight end, it's not really, he could be a safety valve, he might be, he might not be, but he can get down the field. My man can gun it, he can go. So Gunnar Helm from the University of Texas.
And Shannon, my number 5 tight end is actually Gunnar Helm. I think he's probably the strongest run blocker in this class. I really like that. Only 2 drops in his whole career. Woo! Incredibly reliable hands. So to your point, can he be a safety blanket? I think he's going to be a safety blanket. Only 2 drops. You absolutely love to see that from a tight end. Honestly, didn't expect that. And Shannon, he did play basketball in high school as well.
I thought he did.
So I thought he ability. Did. He's going to be a great red zone threat. He's reliable in pass protection as well. If you need to drop a tight end into pass protection, he's going to do that for you. But Shannon, I'm curious to see who you have as your number 5 tight end.
One of you guys mentioned him, and I have Terrence Ferguson as my number 5 from University of Oregon, 6'5", 247-pounder, fast kid at his position, fast kid, athletic. They use him in screens in college. They put him out in the screen because of his ability to be so fast. He has the fastest 40 at the tight end spot, 4.63. At the combine, he's tied for the quickest 10-yard split at 1.55 seconds. His speed shows up on tape. That's one thing about him that I really like is he's the fastest tight end in the draft. That is going to be good for him. His ability to make tacklers miss and the yards after the catch is big for him, especially with Dylan Gabriel throwing you the ball. That's one of the things as well that made Dylan Gabriel have such a good year this year. He needs to develop as a route runner. That's the only thing that he has a problem with. But other than that, sheer speed, athleticism is going to help him out in that vertical passing game. Terrence Ferguson from Oregon is my number 5.
And Jason, who's your number 5 tight end?
Well, I'm going to do another NFL name drop here. I got Oronde Gadsden II, the son of Oronde Gadsden, the former Dolphins wide receiver. I'm also going to give a shout out to my Syracuse Orange. So he is a big dude, man, 6'5", 243. But the biggest thing about him, he's got an 81 3/4 inch wingspan. So you talk about condor type wings, he's got them. But he's also talented. 2022 broke Syracuse's tight end records with 61 catches, 961 yards, first team all ACC honors. He lost the season in 2023 with a Lis frac injury, but 2024 came back stronger, broke his own record with 73 catches, 934 yards, third team All-American. He's got great hands for a tight end, which is always what you want. You want to be able to catch that rock. You want to have them soft hands, like if you're doing the egg toss. You got to catch that egg without breaking it. Explosive straight line speed. The dude's got massive speed for such a big frame. Advanced route running. He was a wide receiver back in the day, trying to follow his father's footsteps, but he got a little big. And then next thing you know, here he becomes a tight end, but he knows how to run routes like a wide receiver. So when you have that huge frame, big tight end that knows how to cut and run routes, watch out now. He does need to work on blocking techniques, but I think that's one of the things you see a lot of in these tight ends that come out of college is there's not a lot of run blocking. There's not a lot of blocking taught. So I think for somebody that's that athletic, I think that'll be something he'll learn in the NFL. But watch out for him. I think he's going to be a phenomenal pickup.
And another thing there also, too, talking about his father. His father went to school at Winston-Salem State University, 45 minutes away from my hometown. So I like that. Very nice.
Got to hit home. Got to get close to home. But go Syracuse. I think, again, big wingspan like that, man. Whew, that's called red zone target right there.
Yeah,
all over him.
And my number 4 tight end is Elijah Arroyo out of Miami, the U. He had a pretty strong Senior Bowl. The guy is super aware in zone coverage. He knows how to find soft spots. He catches with his hands. He can fake defenders out with his head. And after the catch, that guy is super, super tough to bring down after the catch. You love to see that. He is a tough, willing blocker who has his pad level right. That's not something you see with these tight ends coming into the NFL. That's usually the biggest issue with them is they play high. Elijah Arroyo doesn't play high. Problem with him is he missed significant time in 22 and 23 with injuries. If he had a clean bill of health, no injury history, I would put him higher, potential third, push somebody for second. Not going to say who I have at second just yet. Got to wait a little bit for that, but I'm super big on Arroyo. I think he's going to fall similar spot to like Terrence Ferguson and Gunnar Helm, early mid third round. Give him a couple years, make sure that he can stay healthy, and I think he's going to be a pretty good contributor. But Jason, who do you have at number 4?
And you already talked about him, Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon. I think he is going to be that late third, maybe early fourth round. 6'5", 247. So again, big target, 81-inch wingspan. First team All Pac-12 honors his senior season. Needs to work on his top speed a little bit. But I think he's going to be one of those guys. I think he's going to be a steal in the draft. I have him number 4, just because that bigger frame and playing at Oregon, he playing with a top tier quarterback. He was playing with an older quarterback, so be able to succeed with somebody like that shows you a lot for his leadership skills and his abilities on the field. So I do like him coming out of Oregon, Terrence Ferguson.
And Shannon, who do you have at number 4?
I actually had the same one you did, Aaron. I had Elijah Arroyo at my number 4 tight end. The injury in the 2 years prior was what dropped him for me, but the deep ball works well for him as well. He catches passes in stride and can pull away when he gets into the seam. And he's a very athletic guy, makes the over-the-shoulder catches, knows how to stretch the field. Can also make it happen pass blocking as well too. Competitive. He got shed a few times pass blocking, but he can be competitive as an inline blocker, and he covers and drives defenders in space. Elijah Arroyo from Miami is my number 4.
And Jason, at my number 3, I have your honorable mention. I got Mason Taylor at my number 3. I'm pretty big on Mason Taylor.
He's a little high on him.
Yeah, I feel like I'm maybe a little higher than consensus on Mason Taylor, but hey, I'm cool with that. I'll roll with it. But I really like this guy. At his pro day, he had 28 reps on bench. That would put him in the 96th percentile for his position. Love to see that. You need a tough tight end in this league. And we talked about it a bit before. It seems like it is pass heavy. We're going to see a little bit more of a resurgence in the run game with how dominant some of the best teams in the NFL were in the run. And Mason Taylor's got the strength to do it. A lot like Elijah Arroyo, super aware in zone coverage. He gets chunk plays after the catch, phenomenal vision downfield, and the guy's clutch. He has the clutch gene. He made a couple big plays, game-winning 2-point conversion against Alabama, and a big-time 4th down catch against Ole Miss. He's got the clutch gene. You need to see that. You need a tight end who's going to be reliable, who's going to get open in these crucial situations. Mason Taylor is that guy. Some knocks on him are his breaks can be a little telegraphed at times. He needs to get a little more crisp with that. His burst isn't phenomenal, and against power rushers, he does tend to get pushed back pretty heavy in pass protection, and that causes the pocket to collapse. So as of right now, he doesn't really project as that great of a pass blocker, but I think he's going to be able to develop into that. Again, another guy who I think is going to be early 3rd, mid-3rd. I could honestly see a team doing something odd, taking him 2nd round, but he's going to be a good contributor. Shannon, who is your number 3 tight end?
Once again, you looking at my paper right here. I got Mason at number 3. What got me with Mason is that he is the only player in school history, only tight end in school history with 100 catches and 1,000 yards. He's the only one LSU history. That's insane. That surprised me a lot, but that man's just hard to bring down in the open field. He makes contested catches, very, very good hands, his very big hands. He's hard to bring down in open field. I don't know why in the world Jason's so low on him. I mean, the man's a load. The man's one of them old school tight ends. I like him. I think he's a very, very good tight end. I like the fact that he's hard to cover. He's a big kid. So I got him at number 3 because of his size and his ability to have his own way in the pass protection category. Very, very strong kid, like you put out there, Aaron, on the bench press. Very strong kid, very athletic. He's hard to bring down. Very, very good hands. He's that guy you want 3rd and 5 in that zone, finding that soft zone. You're going to have 2 guys to bring him down. He can make catches over the middle. He can make catches over the edge on that pylon. I like him. Go ahead and give me Mason Taylor, number 3.
And Jason, you're the odd one out here on Mason Taylor, but who do you have at your number 3 tight end?
Shannon just wants Auntie Joy to stop by with Mr. Taylor. I think he just wants Joy to do so that's why he's beefing him up a little bit here. He's hoping to get some of that.
Hey, let's get that alone right there, man. I go on and on about that. We're not going to do that. It's not the podcast for that.
Exactly. But look at number 3. I have him higher. You guys have already had him up there, but Elijah Arroyo, I know he has the injury history, but for him to bounce back and have the season he did, that just shows the upside of this kid. So that's why I have him at number 3, 6'5", 250 pounds, that over 81-inch wingspan. Again, a big kid. Savvy route running, good at manipulating people out when they get him into space, good hands, deceptive speed. And I liked hearing that about him because a lot of times you get these big tight ends tend to lumber down the field, but you get somebody like him who, when he catches the ball, boom, he's gone. I love that hearing about him. I know he's got the injury history, but in a limited sample size of his playmaking, but for him to bounce back and have the season that he had, I just think he's, again, the ceiling for this kid, I think, is huge. The U, produces a lot of great tight ends, and I'm going to, shout out my boy Jeremy Shockey coming out of the U, another big dude that I love coming out of the U. So I got Arroyo a little bit higher on my board. I think he goes early third. I think somebody is going to want him because he's going to be a heck of a tight end in the NFL.
Without a doubt. And look, it was close for me between Arroyo and Taylor at 3 and 4. Those guys are pretty interchangeable for me. What ultimately made it was Arroyo's injury history. So dropped him a little bit, but at number 2, I feel like we know who the top 2 tight ends are going to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a clean sweep. It pretty handily. At number 2, I don't know, it could be a wild card, but I got Colston Loveland out of Michigan. A phenomenal athlete. He plays like a big receiver. Shannon, another guy who's got a basketball background like Gunnar Helm. It's going to be a great red zone threat wherever he goes. Loveland's going in the first round. I've had him penciled into Denver for quite a while now. I think he's going to be there. It's going to be Denver. The Chargers, I think, would be a phenomenal landing spot for Loveland. Nasty route runner. His breaks, crisp, phenomenal timing. He's got good speed, phenomenal downfield threat. Had a 45-yard touchdown against Washington. So, I mean, hey, you need a tight end who can make big plays. You can line him up anywhere, line him up in line in the slot. Michigan's put him out wide too. Another guy who's great at finding soft spots in the zone. Some knocks on him are his blocking technique and overall play strength are not great. He does tend to get overwhelmed by more powerful rushers and doesn't always sustain blocks well. He wasn't asked to pass block a whole lot at Michigan because, I mean, they didn't really have a quarterback who could pass that great, so they were run heavy all year. That's going to be different this year. I wish Loveland could have stuck around for the Bryce Underwood era, but it is what it is, and occasionally he does have some concentration drops. Saw it against Penn State. That's a bit of a problem, but he is still a phenomenal receiving threat, really fast for his position. Jason, who do you have at number 2?
I actually flip-flopped you, and I'm going Warren. I think even though Warren is the number 1 projected tight end, I got him at number 2. Look, he is exceptional at what he does. He is a massive load, 6'6", 257. So you talk about just a big cornbread boy, huge, big red zone. His ability to block out down in the red zone is one of the big things that people are sold on him. He also gets a lot of his leadership on the field. They talk about that with this kid, so which is very impressive. Tight end coming out of Penn State. You just had Theo Johnson last year on my New York Giants, came out of Penn State, so they produce some really, really good tight ends there. But line blocking, and he tends to get, pushed around a little bit and redirected in his routes. So in the NFL, you got to be cool and crisp in those routes, man. You can't get pushed around because there's some big dudes on the other side of that ball, and you got to push them around. And if he's not going to be able to do that, I think he's going to have some troubles. But I got Warren at second would be my guy right there.
That threw me off a little bit. What's up, Sean? Appreciate you watching. But Shannon, who you got at number 2?
I got to go with Colston Loveland. Best route runner of all the tight ends, best all-around route runner. He wins with his hands. Even though he didn't have the concentration drops, He didn't really drop a lot of passes in his career. He did not. And effective blocker, he's effective as a blocker. I think he can learn that, like you said, Aaron, that's your squad there. He is one of those guys who was in the run game. They ran the ball so much, and Lord have mercy, they went through a plethora of quarterbacks this year. But that young man delivered every single week when it came down to it. Hard-nosed kid. He's underrated in the deep game. He really is. He's underrated. He can track the deep ball very, very well. Finds that soft spot in the coverages on the crossers, and he's a big target. So at 6'6", 248 pounds, I like the fact that he can be fast and be fluid and be agile at his big size. That's going to help in that red zone. That's going to help when it comes down to 3rd and 5. That's going to help on those short yardages where you want that dig route, or where you want that 2-step hook pattern right over the defensive end. And he's big enough to go get that ball. So give me Colston Loveland for my number 2 tight end.
And at number 1, I got Tyler Warren. Jason, that honestly threw me for a little bit of a loop that you had him at 2, but I mean,
yeah.
Hey, I'll be shocked if Loveland isn't at 1. I don't know what you got cooking up on your list, though. Pretty interested to see what you got. But I mean, yeah, Tyler Warren at number 1. The guy is so versatile. Penn State had him lined up everywhere. Literally everywhere, multiple positions. He is a super, super versatile player. Really just a big Taysom Hill is what it feels like, but a significantly better tight end. Jason, like you did say, blocking not necessarily that great. He can get pushed around a little bit on his routes, but the guy's got great spatial awareness against his own coverage. Again, a lot of tight ends in this class thrive against zone, and he has played quarterback before, so he has a phenomenal football IQ, diagnoses coverage pre-snap really, really well. And the guy is just a nightmare in the red zone. Jason, like you said, he is a big, big guy. He's going to be a super reliable threat for whoever takes him. He's going top 10 realistically. I think he's the only tight end who's going to go in that top half of the first round. But, Jason, who do you got at number 1?
I am going with Loveland. I mean, look, 6'6", 248. Tyler Warren and him, you can kind of flip-flop. They're both phenomenal, dynamic athletes. But Loveland, freshman, offensive rookie of the year. Sophomore, first team all Big Ten. Junior, broke Michigan's tight end record with 56 catches. Second team All-American honors and a national championship. So you talk about the progression of just getting better. He broke through that every year. So that kind of performance and that kind of ability to just keep getting better, to me, shows true NFL talent. So what is he going to do on a team with an NFL quarterback? I think he's going to thrive in a good system. So I can see him going top 12 or maybe top 15. I think you're going to have at least maybe even 3 tight ends going in the first round here. Exceptional athlete, again, basketball background, which you tend to see a lot of that out of the tight ends, especially the guys that know how to box out. They learn that in playing basketball, which is phenomenal. He's got to work on a few things, but to me, his upside is so impressive, and just what he's done year after year, getting better. It's like, no, I'm offensive rookie of the year. No, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. Now I'm going to win a national championship with Big Blue. That just goes to show, I think he is the number 1 tight end in this draft right now.
I mean, look, like you said, they're both super, super great tight ends. They're both going in the first round. I don't know if we see a third guy sneak in. There's just so much depth at other positions like defensive line, what we're going to touch on later in the show. Insane defensive line class. This top 5 was so hard for me to pick. There were like 3 guys who I could have put at 4 and 5 that I just didn't. It's insane. But Shannon, I know who you're going to have at your number 1 tight end, but why don't you just elaborate on it a little bit more?
Go ahead and give me Tyler Warren from Penn State. 6 foot, 656 pounds, big kid. Where did he not play this year on the offense? He played on the line. He played a receiver. He was in the slot. He was at fullback. He played at quarterback. He was in the third row. That kid was everywhere. I don't know where they did not put him. It was like, man, dude, you're everywhere. Where are we going to put him? And it was so crazy how defenses had to adjust to everywhere that he was, because 9 times out of 10, he was going to get the ball. He came down with 50-50 catches downfield. He drags defenders. That man drags defenders. He is a big boy to bring down. It is so hard to do. I've always joked with my buddies, and when we talk about football and talk about the draft, you want to find a tight end, you better go to the Big Ten. You go to the Big Ten, that Iowa, Penn State, you go to Nebraska, Ohio State. You've got a meat and potatoes conference right there in the Big Ten. And this kid right here is meat and potatoes all day long. He's hard to bring down. He's got to get the blocking right, but he can still handle his own when it comes down to it, has the potential to get better. He's a smooth route runner at his size. Don't let the size fool you. He can get down there. He can use his feet. He's able to block out when it comes down to coming down with the 50-50 ball. Breaks tackles. Very, very strong kid. Tyler Warren, #1 tight end on your draft board. I'm getting him. If I need a tight end, Jacksonville, go get that kid. Lord, Tennessee need everything. So you can. I don't know about Tennessee. They can get everything, but he's one of those guys that if he's my best player available, I'm going to the podium and I'm gonna go get him, because he's gonna bring dividends to your passing game downfield. He will do very, very well. I agree with you guys. I think 2 of these guys are going off the board probably in the first 15 picks.
Mm-hmm.
I think a third may come at the very end, but I think you're right when it comes down to these two. It's a coin flip between these two guys. They're very, very good tight ends.
And there's one name that I feel like we need to talk about that we didn't mention. He didn't hit honorable mentions. He wasn't in any of our top 5. It's Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green. Led the nation in receptions. Arguably should have won the Mackey Award over Tyler Warren. I think Warren did deserve it, but Fannin Jr. had a phenomenal season. Maybe a better route runner than Colston Loveland. Yes, he was going up against MAC competition, so you kind of got to project how that's going to carry over to the next level, but still a phenomenal season, undersized, but solid speed. He's not a good blocker, so you kind of got to think of him as a big wide receiver, and when you paint him in that light, it kind of hurts him as a prospect. When you think of him as like a converted Kelvin Benjamin to wide receiver. But Shannon, what are your thoughts on Harold Fannin Jr. as a NFL prospect?
I like him. I really, really do. The only issue that I have with him is he was on the smaller side when it came down to these guys. Ed, if my notes serve me right here, I believe he was 6'3", about 241 pounds. Not too small of a guy, but he had a very good Senior Bowl. Like, the Senior Bowl is what did it for him. I liked him in the Senior Bowl. He had a big game against Penn State and against Texas A&M earlier in the season. I mean, he 1,555 passing yards receiving in 2024, and then 117 catches. FBS, you got to give that man something. You got to give it to him. I think that he could sneak in. He'll probably be a sleeper pick in that second round, that third round. It's a possibility. With the depth at tight end, I think he will get overlooked. I think that he will. But whoever gets him, I think they're going to have them a solid football player. I really do.
Without a doubt. And Shannon, I'm seeing 230 pounds on Bowling Green's website that he's listed at.
Oh, ESPN is playing around in something, man. They must have fed him a 2-piece or something like that.
I mean, look, he needs that extra 10, 15 because 230 pounds at tight end, that's not a great look. You almost got to try and have him slim down a little bit and actually just play wide receiver. That or bulk up. You got to pick one. But Jason, what do you think about Harold Fannin Jr.?
I think if he goes to the right team and the right schemes, if you have him going to a team that has an amazing offensive line where he's not going to have to do a lot of blocking and a lot of chipping, where he's not going to get kind of manhandled, if you can kind of have him as a true tight end or maybe as a bigger wide receiver in the slot. So I think he'll fit somewhere. But I think the size really does hurt him because right now there's a lot of teams out there looking for a tight end weapon, but they need guys that can block because how many quarterbacks this year were flat on their backs? They're not going to draft a tight end that's going to be on his back too and get pushed around by some of those professional defensive linemen. So I think this really does hurt him. He's going to be a steal if he bulks up a little bit. Maybe plays behind, goes to Kansas City, maybe plays behind a Travis Kelce, gives him a year to bulk up, or you go to Detroit, behind a Laporta and bulk up a little bit. Now you got a 2 tight end set that may, because again, Detroit's offensive line is phenomenal. So if you put him with a good offensive line where he's not going to have a lot of blocking responsibilities, at least for the first couple of years till he bulks up, I think he'll be fine. But if you're looking for a big dude to kind of take up space, that's not him.
Mm-mm. And Washington's another team that I think will be really good. They got Zach Ertz in there still. Let him sit behind a veteran who's been around the game for a super, super long time. Really interesting prospect. He feels like a mid-late third-round guy. Obviously, insane receiving talent, but the size is just not what you want. So he's got to go somewhere or he will not be asked to pass block whatsoever. Yeah. He's going to get blown up. It's not going to be a good look. But moving on to the guys that actually do just have to block, we're going to be talking offensive line. And we'll do honorable mentions first again. And Shannon, we were talking before we went on air today. My honorable mention is Gray Zabel, a guy who you said you were really, really high on. But, oh Lord, I lost my notes again. Give me 1 second. But coming out of North Dakota State, obviously, I feel like we've seen a lot of these FCS smaller schools. North Dakota State's obviously a powerhouse in the FCS, but guys 6'6", 305 pounds. Controlled violence would be a phenomenal way to describe him. The guy is pretty athletic, and the case with a lot of these offensive linemen, his arms are not long. He's only got 32-inch arms. That's just short arms. Like Rashawn Slater, people were saying his arms are too short. I believe, if I remember correctly, his arms are 33 and 5/8 of an inch. That's a lot when you're talking about offensive linemen. It's not great, but his pad level is great. Even at 6'6", he is just an absolute dog, which is what you always see from these offensive tackles coming out of FCS D3 teams. Like we saw Quinn Miners coming out of UW Whitewater, just an absolute dog. His hand strength is insane. He picks up blitzes really, really well. Knocks on him are, again, the arm length, and he can sometimes get too narrow when he sets for pass protection. His hand placement can be a little erratic when going up against speed rushers, which is going to be a problem in the NFL because those guys are lightning fast. And setting the edge against fast rushers, super questionable. So to me, he profiles a lot like a guy that you're going to kick into guard. But the guy is going to be a good football player. He is a second-round pick for me. Super, super talented offensive line class. Jason, who's your O-line honorable mention?
I got to go with Ozzy Tropolo from Boston College. 6'8", 309, big kid. He's got a good refined technique, pretty patient as a offensive lineman, which is nice. Big pass protection frame. He's got a big frame. He's just got to work on getting down a little low, especially when that quarterback's trying to pass. When you're 6'8", that's a lot of footballs hitting you in the back of the head. And he's got to work on getting when he gets to the second level. But I think he's got a shot of being a really solid offensive lineman. And again, it's hard to find a really athletic 300-pound guy, especially at 6'8", and he is coming out of Boston College. So give me Ozzie.
And Shannon, who's your honorable mention?
I actually have two, and I really couldn't go between the two. I'm really not happy with the center class this year. I'm really not. I think there's one guy out of the center spot that I'm happy with and one guy only, so I'm going with my guards. So I've got Donovan Jackson from Ohio State as the first guy. Donovan can play offensive guard or offensive tackle. He's better, in my opinion, as an offensive guard. He's better. He's tough to shake when he locks down on pass protection, but he can be easily reset if he doesn't win with his hands initially. That's the thing about him. Of course, we talked about, the arm length of all these offensive linemen. If he doesn't get his hands on you, he's tough to shake. When he gets his hands on you, you ain't going nowhere. But when you get past him, it's hard for him to recover. But he knows how to read and react. He's quick enough to reach linebackers when he climbs to the second level. He can get out in front when he pulls. So it's good keeping him at that guard position. So Donovan Jackson is number two. And Jonah Savianaya from Arizona. I blew his last name, I'm pretty sure. But I like him a lot. I like this kid, very athletic. 4.95 40-yard dash, tied for the second fastest 10-yard split at 1.72. Big kid, 6'4", 324 pounds. Big kid, played guard in 4 games in 2023, but he played the full season. He played the full season this year. The length in the frame make it tough to get around, and that's the thing that I like about him. He's going to be a very good interior lineman for whoever gets him. These guards and tackles are very, very good this year. He might get lost in the fold. I like Savianaya. I like him being around that 3rd round or that 4th round. I like him in that area. Whoever gets him is going to get a very, very strong kid that can take up on that left guard side. So give me Jonah for my second honorable mention.
Look, I hate to admit this, honestly. I fully meant to have Donovan Jackson as an honorable mention as well. I am a big fan of Donovan Jackson. I hate that I forgot that because I've been trying to do stuff all day. I've been taking little breaks to make sure I got all my notes right, and I just missed him in the mix. That's tough because, dang, I mean, the versatility when Josh Simmons went down for Ohio State to just seamlessly kick out to the most important position on the offensive line and play at an insanely high level speaks volumes to his ability as a football player. And like Shannon said, he is better at guard. He's going to be a phenomenal player. I think he could honestly start day one. He's got that ability, but depending on where he ends up, that's a guy I'd kind of like to see in Carolina. 2nd round pick if they can get up there, but because they need depth, that would be phenomenal. Moving on to the top 5, I got the best guard in the class to me by a mile. I got Tyler Booker out of Alabama. This guy is an insane pass blocker. Phenomenal power. He's got great arm length. He has the longest arms out of any offensive lineman that I have on my list at guard. He is really great at using all of that to hit defenders before they can get to his chest, and his grip strength is phenomenal. His anchor and pass protection, absolutely elite, and he has the mentality that you want your offensive lineman to have. He is a mauler, but you don't want to necessarily pigeonhole him into just being a mauler. He is super savvy in his pass protection technique. Downside of this is he is not super consistent in run blocking. Yes, he has phenomenal power, but he doesn't always sustain blocks against more high-level defenders. He relies heavy on his first punch, and if that doesn't land, then he's going to lose leverage and control. You can't have that. He's not great at getting up to the second level and securing linebackers. He doesn't take angles super well, and he can be a little bit slow on blitz recognition and also plays a little too high in the run game as well, but still phenomenal pass blocker, great size at guard position. Shannon, who do you have to kick off your top 5 offensive linemen?
I've got Jared Wilson from Georgia at the center position, 6'3", 310 pounds. Now, Wilson only started 1 year, and that was this year, but he is an exceptional pass blocker. He gets set really quick, gets off of the ball very, very quickly, mirrors well, and compresses the defender off his frame when he gets his hands inside. I mean, the only thing about him that could probably skirt guys away from him, skirt teams away from him, is he only has 1 year of experience. And that's the only thing that sets him apart, but a very, very good talent on that Kirby Smart offensive line. He was a very bright spot there. But once again, also, too, this center pool that we have for the draft, he's a big fish in a small pond. There's not a lot of guys out there at that center spot that are going to outshine him. But with that being said, the center position is a spot that needs to be perpetually filled. Mostly, I'd probably say once a year, you need centers. And he is the best center in the draft, Jared Wilson from Georgia.
And Jason, who do you have as your number 5 offensive line prospect?
Well, you already talked to him already, but the Gray Zabel from North Dakota State, 6'6", 312, good leverage. He's a natural blocker. He's got good speed. He's got that G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip, so he's got good hands. He's got good instincts, which is hard to find in offensive linemen. So, yes, the T-Rex arms, the little short arms, I think is going to hurt him a little bit. But I think if he perfects his technique on the pro level, I think he's going to be a outstanding offensive line player. But yeah, give me Zabel out of North Dakota State. I think he's going to play very well and pair very well with, again, certain teams. You get certain teams on the offensive line. I think he's going to fit in certain schemes, depending on whether they're going to use him mostly as run blocking or pass blocking. So I know a lot of that has to do with it. But even coming out of North Dakota State, I don't worry too much about the small school when it comes to offensive linemen, because there's a lot of offensive linemen that come out of the smaller schools out there that are just phenomenal NFL players because they haven't been getting beat up. They're going to go in there and healthy and really utilize those skills that they do have. So give me Zabel at number 5. I like him. I like him a lot.
At my number 4, I mentioned him earlier, but I got Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. Yes, he only played 6 games this season because he had a knee injury, but we want to talk about a guy who is just lightning fast at offensive tackle. It's Josh Simmons. His lateral mobility is phenomenal. He can mirror speed rushers. Unlike Booker and Zabel, this guy can keep up with those fast edge rushers, which you need to see. Obviously, playing in the Big Ten, he went up against a lot of those guys. I wish he could have stayed healthy to see how he would have matched up against like Michigan or any of the teams in the college football playoff, just so we could have a better sample size of how he's going to look against like NFL talent. But his injury doesn't hurt him too much for me as a prospect. He had, like I mentioned earlier, elite foot speed. He consistently beats rushers to the spot. He gets set. His anchor is phenomenal. In the screen game, he is really, really good at tracking guys down and just taking them out of the play. He's got great power. He's played both tackle spots as well at a high level, primarily a left tackle. But again, another guy with shorter arms, might want to kick him outright just to make sure he can play up to the level that needs to be in spite of the smaller arms. Some knocks on him are hand placement can get a little iffy when facing a wider alignments, and penalties. Racked up 25 penalties last 2 seasons at San Diego State and at Ohio State. That is terrible. That hurts him as a prospect more than his knee injury to me. You need to minimize penalties. You cannot have offensive linemen committing an insane amount of penalties because that is going to cost you a football game. You lose yards on offense, you're just not going to win. Shannon, who do you have at number 4?
I got Tyler Booker from Alabama at the offensive guard spot. 6'5", 321 pounds, big kid, very explosive pass blocker, has a very powerful punch when it comes down to it. Can anchor in the run game as well too. Communicates well with teammates. That's one of the things that was said about him on the notes, is that he communicates well with teammates. He understands and identifies his assignments easily. He has a great length about him. He has great size at that spot, because you need the big guys in that interior line. Only knocks with him is that sometimes the recovery speed is not so great with that footwork. If he gets knocked off with him being so big, that's one of the things about being a bigger player, is if that footwork isn't always working, you'll travel backwards. And that's going to give the defensive line, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, it gives the defensive line time to get at him. So once again, you get exploded, huh? But he's a very explosive blocker, very good at what he does at the offensive guard spot. He's the best offensive guard on the board. I love Gray, but I believe he's the first offensive guard taken off of the board. Give me Tyler Booker from Alabama.
And Jason, who do you have at number 4?
I'm looking for value, especially when you start getting into the later rounds. A lot of these, top 10 guys are going to get just chewed up, and they're just going to kind of keep going. But I like Marcus Membo from Purdue, 6'4", 303, agile for his size. Only 6'4", but sometimes 6'4" you can play big, or when you have pass protection going on, you need to play a little bit smaller too. So I think he can do that. He's got that advanced hand technique. He's got a little wrestling background too, which is always nice, because when you're in the trenches, you got to know how to get throw them elbows down there in them trenches. So I think he can do that. Again, we're talking about arm length, so it seems to me that this is definitely a short arm draft for a lot of offensive linemen. But I think if he perfects his technique, again, he's one of those guys. When you're super athletic, I think you can make up for the shorter arms. So tends to drop his head a little bit. But again, I think those are things that in the NFL they can correct with the right coaching and really just focusing on your craft. But I like him. I like him in the later rounds, because I think you could probably pick him up maybe 3rd, 4th round if he falls that much. But to have somebody like that, I think he's going to be a good NFL player right there. So Marcus Membo out of Purdue.
Without a doubt. Real quick, I got to jump off real quick. Have a small little thing going on. I will leave Jason and Shannon to talk about their number 3 offensive line prospects. I will be back very quick.
No worries. All right, Shannon, give me your number 3. Who do you got number 3, man, sitting offensive lineman?
I've got Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle out of Texas.
Number 3?
Number 3, yes. Hey, hold on, don't worry about it. Because my number 2, I'm a little bit. See, this is a coin flip for me right here. The reason why I'm taking him at number 3 is because, well, he did start 42 games at left tackle in 3 seasons at Texas. That's great. Fires off the ball, walls the defenders really, really well. I got a bit of an issue with him in the running game, but I'm okay with that because Texas was a passing squad this year. They're a great passing squad. He has the body control, changes direction real well, has great recovery with his footwork. If he gets caught off guard by one of the blitzing edge rushers, he knows how to recover. I like that about him. Very, very big hands, tough to beat once he latches onto you in the passing game. Very, very solid, smooth worker. Very, very great on the second level when it comes down to the block. Recognizes, picks up the line, stunts, and pressures. Very, very good eyes. I got Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas at number 3.
That's surprising, man. I'm going to big up New Jersey. Holland Pierce from Rutgers, 6'8", 341. Again, just a big dude, takes up a lot of space. Offensive line, you want to block the holes, and he will block some holes. He does have the long arms, so I think out of everybody in this offensive line class, he's got 36-inch arms. So he's got the go-go gadget arms. So let's go. He's got good discipline. Out of 3,172 snaps, he only had 4 penalties, which is impressive. Offensive lineman. So that is insane because, offensive linemen, it's all about them stupid, penalties, false starts, etc. So he has proven that he has patience and good instincts. And he's just got raw power. He's a big dude, man. He can move people out of the way. So Holland Pierce, he's a little slow because he's a big dude. So, just recovering when he gets beat, he's a work in progress. So I think he can work on a few things. But, man, if I need someone to plug some holes, Holland Pierce, let's go Rutgers.
Dude, I like that. I mean, Holland Pierce is nice. I like that a lot, though, for real. Very, very surprising. I didn't expect that one.
That's a good. No, dig it, man. Dig it. You got to find the value in this draft here.
East Rutherford, New Jersey in the house.
Yes,
I like
sir.
Without a doubt. And speaking of Rutgers, I was in the Newark airport for about 7 hours over the summer. They got Rutgers stuff everywhere in that airport.
I hear that.
You got number 3 there, Aaron. Who you got number 3?
Number 3, I got Armand Membo out of Missouri. The guy is an absolute anchor at right tackle. He ran a 4.91 40, 97th percentile for his position. 34-inch vertical, 97th percentile again for his position. Broad jump, 115 inches, 97th percentile for his position. This guy can move. This guy's an athlete. Yes, his arms are a little short. That's kind of the story of this whole offensive tackle class. And insanely athletic. His body control is phenomenal. He's got serious pop on his initial contact. He's really great at processing blitzes. Nasty, nasty finisher. He can finish guys as soon as he locks on. They're gone. They're out of the play. And some knocks on him are his height. He's pretty short. He has the skill set to play tackle without a doubt, but that height and that arm length really feels like he's going to shift into guard. I would love to see him get some time at tackle. His punch timing can be late in pass protection, and overall blocking technique does need a little bit of refinement, but the guy has the athletic traits to play tackle. He's going to be a good contributor from the jump. But Shannon, who do you have at number 2?
Number 2, I have Will Campbell out of LSU, 6'6", 319-pounder. Powerful punch coming off of the pass block. Very good drive blocker. Very good core strength. He's big. He's strong. I like him. That's the reason why I got him over Kelvin. I like the kid. He has very, very good finish on his blocks. Very good drive blocker. Very intense player. I don't know. I think, Jason stayed up north. I stayed deep south with LSU on this one. So I got to give credit to the Bayou Bengals on this one. Once again, we can talk about the short arms all day long. There are only 2 starting left tackles with shorter than 33-inch arms, and Will Campbell is one of them. But very strong hands, able to lock on with the blocks. He ran a sub 5-second 40 and had the second best broad jump, 9'5". Had offensive tackles at the combine. One thing that I do like about him, the knock on him is that he sets high, but he's big and strong, and he can overcome that with the 319-pound frame that he has. Very good leg drive, technique, mobility, and toughness. Will Campbell from LSU was my number 2.
And Jason, who's your number 2?
I'm going with Armand Membo. I know he's short, 6'3". He's 313 pounds, which 6'3", 313, that's a big dude. But they're showing that he's only got 18% body fat. So I don't know how you could be 314 pounds and 18% body fat. That's just one big muscle running around. 32-inch vert, so super athletic. Squats 600 pounds. So watch out, Jalen Hurts. He's going to beat your squat record. pro ready, quick feet. I think you can throw him out there. I think his size will make a little bit of a hiccup on him, but I think because he is just freakishly athletic and probably one of the best in this draft class, I got him number 2, man. I don't care about the size. I just, 18% body fat at 315 pounds to me is bananas.
Without a doubt. And my number 2 is Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. Another, not a lot of top left tackles who have a lot of experience at left tackle. Kelvin Banks Jr. is one of them. This guy is arguably the best pass blocker in the whole class. Again, I hate to harp on about it, but it's just true. Shorter arms, 33.5-inch. Not great, but look, it doesn't matter. This guy is incredibly quick out of his stance. He's got great spatial awareness when he's working in space. His hand technique is good. He's a fluid athlete. His feet are super quick. He can get deep into his pass set very fast, and he can anchor really, really well. Again, knocks on him, below average arm length, which isn't going to be great against these NFL defenders who are fast with long arms. He can bend at the waist sometimes rather than bending in his knees, so that leads to balance issues. And when reaching for defenders, he does tend to overextend on occasion, which leaves him vulnerable. But I mean, look, this guy's just gonna be great. I wholly believe Kelvin Banks Jr. is going to be a quality starter in the NFL. Another guy who you can move over to guard, put him at tackle because he does have the skill set to play tackle. But I think we could see a lot of these tackles becoming guards on account of the arm size. But at my number 1 offensive tackle, I got Will Campbell out of LSU. I think this guy he's clearly the best to me. I know a lot of people harp on about the arms, but again, we saw the same thing with Rashawn Slater, and that guy's a phenomenal tackle in the NFL. It's no problem for him. Like Shannon said, Campbell ran a sub 5 second 40, 32-inch vertical, 113-inch broad jump. This guy is explosive. I promise I know how to talk. He's athletic. He is really good at recovering because of that athleticism. He's got a phenomenal attitude in the run game, really good at finishing. He sets his anchor really well once he's engaged with his defender. He's great at bending from the knees instead of the waist, great at picking up stunts and identifying delayed blitzes. Doesn't look confused when facing advanced pressure packages, which I think it's phenomenal. Some knocks on him are he can overset against speed rushers, which makes it easier for them to counter with an inside move. He sometimes narrows his base while he's trying to sustain blocks. Not great. We're probably going to see him on his back a little bit in the NFL if that continues. And his punch timing can be a little bit predictable. And these NFL guys are going to pick up on that. But he is still a phenomenal tackle. Dear Lord. He's going to be a great pick. I want to see him in New England because they need to get Drake May some protection. They really do. Jason, who's your number 1 offensive line prospect?
Well, that's why I was surprised. He's listed at number 1, and I'm taking him number 1. Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, 6'4", 320, exceptional quickness. They talk about his masterful technique, which is phenomenal to have when you're offensive lineman. Good hands, pure athleticism. Knock against him, of course, the short arms and run blocking. But, he's going to learn that because Texas wasn't a run blocking school. So I think that's something he's going to learn on the pro level. You look at somebody like the Jacksonville Jaguars who are sitting at 5th, the Bears, the 49ers, the Cowboys, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you talk about him possibly going either top 10 or top 12 in the draft. I think he's going to be the first one taken in the draft this year. So give me Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. He is pro ready. I think he's just going to be put out there. And there's a lot of teams out there that need that offensive line help.
And Shannon, who's your number 1 offensive lineman in this draft?
I got Armand Membo from Mizzou at 6'4". Now they're listing here at 332 pounds. He might have got a large pizza or something like that. Beforehand, he might have worked it to 18% body fat. As we speak, he might not have. But one thing about the tape, most athletic lineman, he's most athletic. Recovers well when caught out of position. Great strength moving defenders off of the ball. He played in a zone-heavy scheme at his school, so that's the reason for his very good footwork. Quick enough to handle speed off the edge, even though he has shorter arms. We get it, y'all. We get it. We know. But he can handle the speed off of the edge. Very, very strong hands. Very talented at that tackle spot. Give me Armand Membo from Mizzou.
And look, I do think this is a really good offensive line class. There's going to be a lot of value in the third, fourth rounds. And if we want to talk about there being a lot of value and a loaded class at any position group, it's got to be defensive line. Like I mentioned earlier, getting the top 5 pick for this group was absolutely insane. I have 3 honorable mentions because I had to include some of these guys. I understand might be a little bit overkill, but there's just so much talent at defensive line. But Shannon, let's kick it off with your honorable mentions.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I actually had 3 myself. So I will go ahead and go to, what? I honestly believe that Georgia has like defensive players, perennial defensive players, and it's got to be on the line. It's got to be at the edge. Mikael Williams is one of my honorable mentions, 6'5", 260 pounds from Georgia, powerful pass rusher. Very, very quick for his size. And makes quick work of tight ends. I like that out of an edge. He can drop back into coverage. He's not the best covered guy, but he can drop back into coverage when needed. But when it comes down to getting to the quarterback, I got to go with Mikael Williams. Give me Mikael Williams. Then I got to go to a defensive tackle. There's like a million of them, and all of them could go in the first round. If this was a very weak draft, they all could. I got to go with TJ Sanders from South Carolina. I like TJ. He was one of the integral parts of why South Carolina was better than what they were expected to be this year because of how well that defense played. He's light. He's a light player at that defensive tackle, 6'4", 297 pounds. But he's very, very strong, holds his ground one-on-one. It's hard to beat him at that 3 technique spot. He gets to the quarterback by winning with his hands and his ability to change directions at that 3 technique spot. Give me TJ Sanders and Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. I like Walter Nolan. Once again, undersized defensive tackle here, 6'4" at 296 pounds. 14.5 tackles for a loss and 6.5 sacks last year at the defensive tackle spot. Great run defender. Always in the backfield. Land shark. Ole Miss, that's what he does. Has the range and the motor to make plays in pursuit. Can change directions at that defensive tackle. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. Land shark.
Look, I'm going to kick it off. My honorable mentions with Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. This one hurt not putting him in my top 5. This guy is a big dude. He is 6'4", 331 pounds. He is going to be an absolute monster wherever he goes. At his size, according to Jim Harbaugh, he ran a sub-5 second 40. Maybe that's not right. Take it with a grain of salt, but this guy is an insane athlete. Quick step, lightning fast at that size. His pass rush skill set is phenomenal. Usually with these bigger defensive tackles, you see him rely almost solely on the bull rush. That's not Kenneth Grant. Michigan's been pumping out phenomenal defensive linemen for a while now, and I feel like Kenneth Grant's been buried a little bit with the Mason Grahams, with the Aiden Hutchinsons. But Grant is a phenomenal player in his own right. He's been producing for years, for 3 years at Michigan. Now, with that big size, there are some weight concerns. He has played anywhere from 331 pounds up to 360 pounds. He has gotten on the lighter side of that later into his career. And his pass rush, while he can be incredibly dominant, it's hot and cold with his pass rush effectiveness. He's going to be hot 1 second and then he's going to disappear the next. But this guy, he's going to be good. I think he feels like a Dan Campbell kind of pick. Big dude, great against the run, solid against the pass. I could see him going to the Lions. To me, honestly, all the guys at defensive line that I'm going to talk about could easily go in the first round. I was looking at a list. They're like, oh, there's 14 guys. These all have like first round talent, which is what makes picking just top 5 so incredibly hard. Almost wish I had done a top 10, but it is what it is, and that's on me because I'm a rundown for this show. But Kenneth Grant, phenomenal player again. I'm going to hit on Walter Nolan too, another defensive tackle that you just got to talk about. Insane motor, like Shannon mentioned. He's going to wear down offensive linemen over the course of the game because his motor doesn't run out. He's never on empty, which is phenomenal. Another guy, explosive first step, great at using leverage to beat offensive linemen. Phenomenal feet. You can line him up anywhere on the defensive line too. He's got positional versatility. He's great at diagnosing zone runs and maintaining his gap. He can get caught playing a little too high in terms of pad level, below average arm length for a defensive tackle. I've said it a million times, and he needs to develop some secondary pass rush moves. Tends to stick to his first a little too much. And then my third honorable mention, I mean, this guy is an insane pass rusher. It's James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Guy ran a 4.47 40, absolute freak athlete. He's going to fall to the Eagles, and we're going to hate to see it because the guy does have some character concerns, and that is that's a big red flag. I mean, who knows? Maybe he could go to Dallas because Michael said Dallas needs D-line help. He'd fit right in there, and he also feels like an AFC North kind of player too. He brings that type of energy that thrives in the AFC North, but he's a little bit undersized. He's only 245 pounds, but that's too much of a problem because, yeah, he's a little undersized, but are you actually going to be able to get your hands on him and catch him? Because the guy is just lightning fast. So knocks on him are because he's undersized, his play strength isn't that great and needs more reliable counter moves as well and doesn't maintain the edge. And sometimes more mobile quarterbacks are able to scramble out of that and gain yards, which isn't great. But Jason, who's your honorable mention?
I'm going to go over to Ole Miss also. I think there's somebody there that kind of flies under the radar a little bit here. Princely Umena-Mellon, 6'4", 244 pounds. He's just got an unbelievable motor. They talk about his development over the years and how he's developed into a really special player. He's got an unbelievable spin move and some moves to get free from that line. Unbelievable strength. I kind of like him. He's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. I think he's ranked somewhere in the 11th, 12th position, but I think he's going to make somebody a heck of a player. He does have a couple of knocks. It's hard for him to get out of the double teams. He's a little bit predictable with his moves, but I think, again, that's something coaching can help him with. So I think he's got the strength and the motor to be a phenomenal player in the NFL. But and I just love his name, Princely. It's got a great ring to it here. You can't beat that because when you get sacked by a princely dude, who's gonna beat that? So give me Princely out of Ole Miss.
And Shannon, who's your number 5 defensive line prospect to get the actual rankings kicked off?
All right, now call me crazy for this, but Darius Alexander from Toledo is my number 5 once again, stacked defensive line. This is a defensive line heavy draft here, but I like Darius Alexander. He only has 9 career sacks at Toledo, but don't let that fool you. That man knows how to get after the quarterback. He can do it. The thing that is good with him, he gets into those gaps. He fills in those gaps. He fires off. 6'4", 305 pounds. He's a little on the small side at that defensive tackle, but if he gets in the gaps, you ain't going to be able to get him. Has very good push-pull move. Locks out and pushes blockers rushing the passer. He can get off blocks really, really good. Knows how to make plays in the backfield. Has a very good arm over move. And I saw that. I saw tape on this cat. And I'm like, oh, I like him because he has an unbelievable motor. And I like him really, really well. The small schools got affinity for the small schools, but this guy can actually play. Put him on a Buffalo Bills squad. Put him on a Seattle Seahawks. I would say put him on the Seattle Seahawks. I can see him going. I can see him playing for my 49ers. I can see us grabbing him and doing something with him. I like him. So Darius Alexander from Toledo University.
Wow. I mean, I like the respect for these group of 5 guys, honestly, but I mean, hey, I can't hate it, honestly. This is an insane class with a lot of talent. But Jason, who do you have kicking off your top 5?
Top 5, I'm going to go Mike Green out of Marshall, the Thundering Herd. 6'3", 251 pounds. Led the FBS in sacks with 17 this year. Sun Belt Conference record. Walter Camp, first team All-American honor. Sun Belt Player of the Year. We can go on and on, man. Just a phenomenal player. Explosive, and the first step is what you want out of someone on that defensive line. He's violent. He's a great pass rusher. He's got that wrestling background. So to be able to get out of that offensive line, out of those tackles, needs to bulk up a little bit, a little light in the pants, but I think they can help out with that. He's got to work on his upper body strength, but I think, again, that's some of the things that you can kind of get into and develop when you're in the NFL. So you dropping into coverage, I think he needs a little help with also, but I think those are traits that can be taught. He's just got unbelievable talent, especially coming out of a smaller school from Marshall. But I got Mike Green. I think he's going to be a great pickup for somebody in that maybe that later second round, maybe third round, because this is such a heavy class. And it's hard to go for somebody that is a little bit lighter. But, man, I tell you what, if you get somebody like this who has already proven himself at the college level, I think he's got a great ceiling in the NFL as far as a prospect.
He definitely does, and I'm going to go ahead and spoil it a little bit. I have Mike Green in my top 5. He is higher than number 5 for me, though. I am a really big Mike Green fan, but at number 5, I got Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. This guy blew the roof off of the combine. He had a Myles Garrett type of combine, absolutely phenomenal. 4.59 40 at 267 pounds. His wingspan is 83 4/8 inches, 40-inch vertical, 131-inch broad jump. He's in the 99th percentile for broad jump, 94 for 40, 98 for vertical, 91 for wingspan. This guy has the ideal build that you want for a defensive line prospect. I mean, I don't know. I get a little bit worked up talking about this defensive line class. It is just so phenomenal, and Carolina needs that help. Needs help there more than any other position. So phenomenal year to have a bad defensive line going into a draft, but this guy converts speed to power so well. He consistently collapses the pocket with his bull rush, sets a great edge in the run game, controls blocker, phenomenal football IQ, processing ability, lateral agility is phenomenal. The biggest knock on him is he doesn't have a lot of production. 3.5 sacks on his career or in the season, regardless, not a lot with a guy who has a athletic test like that, built like he is, you would want to see him putting up bigger numbers. Yes, he's in the SEC. Yes, he's going up against NFL prospects on the offensive line week in, week out. So you want to see more production from it. But he gets pressure on the quarterback. He had 39 pressures in 2024. So he can get there. He just needs to work on finishing. And I don't think that's going to be that big of an ask in the NFL. There's a lot of great defensive minds in this league. Wherever he's going to go, somebody's going to be able to get him right. Again, my entire top 5, I think these guys are all going first round. Shamar Stewart, man, I want him in Detroit so bad. They need help at defensive end, and this guy's going to come in and pair him with Aiden Hutchinson. I don't think you're stopping that. That would be an insanely deadly defensive end duo. But Shannon, who do you have at number 4?
I got James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. I know y'all saw that 52-yard pick six that he got off Deacon Hill this year. My man can flat out scoop. He can get to the quarterback. He's fast, very, very fast. I like the fact that he can finish in the backfield, explosive speed rusher, great get off, and closing burst. He can redirect and beat blockers to the inside. Once again, we've been talking about it almost all day, is the short arm aspect, but only on the defensive side of football. But one thing about him, he transitions with speed to power, very, very disruptive in the run game. He knows how to get to the backfield. He knows how to get to the ball carrier, and he's usually one of the first guys to the football every time. I know that character issue is coming up. I get it. But my man can flat out play some football. Give me James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee at number 4.
And it was before everything about his character concerns came out. This guy was number 3 for me, hands down. He's going to be great, and I just know he's going to fall to Philly, and it's going to be so infuriating when another insane prospect has some off-field issues and they drop to Howie Roseman and he scoops him up in a heartbeat. You know he loves his SEC guys, and another SEC guy who might drop to the Eagles, might not, is Mikael Williams out of Georgia. Phenomenal athlete. He is 6'5", 260 pounds. He's got good size, ran a 4.7740 at Georgia's pro day. He's got phenomenal power at the point of attack. You can line him up just about anywhere on that defensive line. He's got great recognition skills in the run game. His bull rush, like Shamar Stewart, consistently collapses the quarterback. He's got a phenomenal motor. Doesn't quit. Natural instincts as a pass rusher. He's got a good first move. He knows when to counter if the first move isn't working. Some knocks on him are he can be a little late off the snap. Not great. He can sometimes play too high as well, and his hand placement is inconsistent. But Jason, who do you have at your number 4?
And this is tough, man. I mean, literally, you can do a top 20 and probably still find guys. But I'm going with somebody that probably has been a little bit not looked at because he's got somebody else that's ahead of him. But a Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, 6'4", 331 pounds, second team All Big Ten, athletic freak, ran a sub 540. Which at 300 plus pounds to run a sub 540 is ridiculous. He's got an insane good first step, puts immediate pressure on the QB. He's got to work on his pad levels. He's got a few things, again, with when you're working on negative leverage. And they talked about his weight fluctuates, where he's gone up to all the way up to 360 pounds, and he's not as effective when he's heavier. So I think that'll be helped at the pro level because they get these guys nutritionists and they're working all the time. So I think that'll be cured on the NFL level. But I think he's kind of been invisible behind Mason Graham because it's hard to see past him. But I think Kenneth Grant, I can see him, especially with his speed, put him on a Pittsburgh Steelers team with a TJ Watt. You talk about explosive speed towards the quarterback. You got 1-2 punch right there. So I think he's going to be a steal in the first round. for somebody there coming out of Michigan, just won the national championship too. So, I mean, how can you beat that? And again, it's just this draft class is ridiculous right now on the defensive side of the ball. So I think everybody's going to get some value out of this thing, but there are some gems out there, and I think Grant is going to be one of those who is essentially NFL ready.
Without a doubt. And Jason, you want to talk about there being gems. This is where I got Mike Green. I got Mike Green at number 3 for me. So insanely productive. I don't care that he was in the Sun Belt. That type of production anywhere in college football, you got to look at the guy and be like, okay, he is an NFL-ready prospect. Highest graded defensive lineman in the entire country, according to PFF. And that's insane with the amount of talent that is in this draft, that Mike Green was the highest graded out of the whole lot. That speaks volumes. This guy is so explosive. His first step is phenomenal. I've seen one comparison that says his first step, his bend around the edge, is a lot like Von Miller. That is a lofty comparison I'm not wholly comfortable with, because I don't think that you can compare guys coming into the league to Hall of Famers like Von Miller. He's not there yet. I think he's going to be, though, whenever he's eligible. Potential first ballot. Phenomenal change of direction. And this guy has a wrestling background, and something that I look for in O-line, D-line prospects is if they have a wrestling background, I know they're going to be good. I know they're going to know how to use leverage, because that is a integral part of wrestling, is knowing how to use leverage and manipulate your opponent. He's got violent hands. Another guy who has a insane closing burst and a relentless motor. Some knocks on him are he's a little undersized. He can his upper body strength, not great, and he doesn't have a lot of experience dropping into coverage, which you do want to see a little bit from edge prospects. He only has 21 snaps over 2 years starting at Marshall in coverage, but I don't really care, honestly. Phenomenal pass rusher. He's going to be good against the run. Number 3, and if the top 2 weren't so solidly in place for me, I would be able to make an argument to myself to put Mike Green at number 2. But Jason, who do you have as your number 3 prospect?
And this was tough. So again, you got so many great guys, especially when you get into the top 5. I mean, it's just like throw a dart, close your eyes. You could pick any one of those top 5 guys, and I think they're going to be NFL ready right now. But I'm going to go with Derek Harmon out of Oregon, 6'4", 313, NFL ready. Started for 3 years at Michigan State, came over and just had a phenomenal year with the Ducks. Great first step power, quickness. He's got a devastating rip move, third down potential. He's quick at processing. So, I mean, that's something you want out of that defensive slot. He's got to get a little consistent with some things, and his tackling technique tends to get a little over aggressive. So he's got a few things to work on when he gets to the NFL level. But I think he's somebody that, again, you can just plug him right in. He's off to the races. So I'm pretty sold on him. I think he's going to be maybe top 20. I see a lot of defensive guys going in the top 20, 25 of this first round here. It's going to be bananas how many defensive guys are going to go this year, because there's a lot of teams out there dying for the defensive side of the football. And it's so tough right now just to pick out of the top 5. Man, just, again, throw darts. But Derek Harmon, I like him coming out of Oregon. He's been playing against top tier quality guys that he's going against here. So let me get Oregon. Go Ducks.
And Shannon, who's your number 3 defensive lineman?
I got to go with Jalen Walker from Georgia. I like Jalen being that hybrid front 7 defender. He can play inside linebacker as well as edge. He has the cover aspect to him with the inside linebacker position. You know, he has very, very good speed. Dips under blocks as a speed rusher off of the edge. Gets off the ball quickly. Active hands. Wins with the inside move. Once again, I don't know what it is with everybody's genetics being short-armed and everything. 79-inch wingspan as an edge. That's the issue that they have with him. But it doesn't matter. because he gets his hands inside and he forces those blockers on the outside, throws them right off of him. He has the speed to go with it, but he is actually strong for his size at 243 pounds. Georgia knows their edges. They know their defensive players. They pump them into the league. They've been pumping them in the league for like the past 5-6 years.
They grow them on trees down there, man. They literally grow them on trees.
We thought peaches were in Georgia the whole time.
Nope.
They got defensive players. That's all they got. So, man, he's incredible. I like Jalen Walker. From what I've seen from him this year, he's going to be great at a Tampa Bay. He could be at a Tampa Bay. He could be. I see him as a Tampa Bay type player, the way that defense, that team predicates his defense, but not as of late. But, it's going to help their defense a lot. I see him maybe dip into – he may more than likely go to a Green Bay. He could go to a Green Bay. He could. But I like Jalen Walker. Go ahead and give me Jalen Walker as my number 3.
And I do need to cover myself a little bit. A lot of places I was looking at had Jalen Walker listed as a linebacker, so that is why he is not in my honorable mentions or top 5, because I'm going to spoil next week's episode a little bit. He's going to be my number 1 linebacker. Whatever we do, because I really, really like him as a player. He would have been in my top 5 if I had considered him to be an edge rusher, but phenomenal player, and we're cracking into the top 2. This for me was chalk. The top 2 was super
locked,
super
locked
easy.
Down.
No question for me.
Yep.
Number 2 is Mason Graham. If you've watched any of my previous shows where we remotely talk about NFL draft prospects, I'm talking about Mason Graham every single chance I am given. I've watched a lot of Michigan football, and this guy has been consistently the best player on that defensive line since he's been starting. He is an absolute monster against the run, and he's not bad against the pass as well. The reason we don't see any crazy production is because of the insane amount of talent that has been on that Michigan defensive line for years. This guy also has a wrestling background. He wrestled in high school, 2-time conference champion at heavyweight. The guy knows how to use leverage, and I really, really like O-line and D-line prospects who have a wrestling background. I think it just sets them up for success from the jump. He is incredibly versatile. You can throw him just about anywhere on defensive line. Obviously not too far out wide. Don't want him lined up like a Micah Parsons kind of guy because he's not that fast, but he's got solid speed for his size. He is 6'4", 296 pounds. A little bit small for defensive tackle, but that's not too much of a red flag for me. He's incredibly nimble. He's got great feet. He is an absolute dog in the trenches. He has the right demeanor that you want out of a defensive tackle. Great hand fighter. Again, wrestling background, leverage, hand fighting. Problems with his size are going up against a longer arm tackle. It's going to be hard for Graham to get to their chest before they can get their hands on him. He's still developing his pass rush arsenal. He is a little bit heavy on the bull rush, but look, he can still win with it, and he doesn't always finish plays, so he needs to be better about that. But Jason, I think I know who you're going to have at number 2, but why don't you just elaborate?
It is your man crush. I know, Aaron. I mean, you've been talking about him since day one.
Months.
I think if the
For
Panthers,
like 4 months now.
oh my God, if he falls to the Panthers and they draft him, I think you will literally cry. I think there will be tears.
Tears
running
of
down
joy.
Aaron's face.
It will happen.
He will go out and buy
Him
the jersey
and Garrett
that
Brown.
night.
Oh my Lord. No one's running against that
Like
defense.
visual. He'll start crying right now. Carolina Panthers, please pick Mason Graham for Aaron. Come on.
Phenomenal.
I mean, the kid's phenomenal. He's a no-brainer. It's one of those things where, like, okay, if you're going to start, balking and like, okay, I don't know who to pick, and he's there, it's you just pick him because there's nobody else that's going to be better than that, and that he's going to go top 10. He may go top 5. I mean, the way this draft is kind of ironing itself out, it'll be interesting to see. But Outland Trophy finalist, Nagurski Trophy finalist. I mean, unanimous, first team All-American. I mean, come on, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he's a no-brainer. He is a no-brainer pick. So, yeah, Mason Graham, number 2. I hope he does go to the Panthers for you, brother, because I just you would lose your freaking mind. I just want to see it. I just want to see it. I want to see the shrine. I want to see you build like the shrine as soon as he gets drafted. You'll have like candles and the Madonna and everything. It'll be great. I love it.
I genuinely do not think
start a fan club and everything.
No one would be able to run against that defensive line with Derek Brown, who is already one of the best run defenders in the NFL, coming back from injury.
Look at your face. Your face is lit up, man.
In the draft,
glowing.
It would be phenomenal. I mean, I did get a little bit sunburned. That's what this is.
You say Mason Graham and your face lights. It's like his nickname is gonna be Golden. Let's just Mason Golden Graham. That's his new nickname. We're just gonna throw that out there because every time you talk about him, you shine like some gold, baby. So,
I mean, I can ramble on about how great of a fit he would be for Carolina. It addresses a massive team need. Also, Will Johnson, another Michigan guy that Carolina could really use as well. Arguably need more help in the secondary because they have spent a good bit of money on the defensive line and free agency, less so in that secondary. But Shannon, why is Mason Graham at number 2 for you?
Hey, let's go ahead and complete it. He's the reason why I even watched Michigan play football this year when they were on TV. This kid is the real deal. I like him. I'm like, man, if it wasn't for the number 1 guy, I would probably say
he would be number 1.
He would be it. He would be the one they'd be talking about to draft here. He is explosive when it comes down to moving through blockers, shooting the gaps real well. The undersized thing, I really don't care about that. This kid just makes up with it for great play, very good talent, hustle. I like him. Give me Mason Graham at my number 2.
And I will say, I'm a little worried he's not going to drop to the Panthers. You got the Jags. They could go for him. Raiders, I feel like they're going Genty or McMillan.
Raiders going Genty.
Jags,
I think they go
and also
offensive line.
I think Will Johnson to the Jags is the pick to make, honestly, because
he's trying. He is trying.
They have the worst pass defense in the entire league. Will Johnson.
He going in the first 5 picks. I hate to break your heart. We're going to have 2 quarterbacks.
He's dropping to 8, Shannon. Let me have this. He's dropping to 8.
And now if he does and Carolina doesn't draft him,
oh my God.
I'm driving to Charlotte.
Quit being a Carolina Panthers fan. He would give up. He would throw all his Panthers stuff into trash, and he would go park in front of the stadium and protest. If he's available and Carolina doesn't take him, Aaron's going out front and protesting. Straight up.
I will. I'm driving to Charlotte.
Straight up.
I don't have a car, but I'm going to find a way to get there. But moving on to number 1, I mean, it's going to be consensus again. This was an absolute no-brainer. It's Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Penn State has been pumping out these absolute freak athletes at linebacker, edge rusher. You had Micah Parsons, who kind of started this whole thing. You had Chop Robinson last year, who had a really good rookie season. And now you got Abdul Carter, who, I mean, he's obviously going to look like Chop Robinson a lot as a prospect, might be more explosive. His first step is absolutely insane. He's got great bend. He is a violent tackler. He's also played as an off-ball linebacker before, so he has great spatial awareness. His closing burst is phenomenal. He's got great competitive toughness. He was dealing with a shoulder injury in the college football playoff, and he still played through it. You really want to see that. He's got good length, even though he's not necessarily the tallest guy ever. He is 6'3". Some knocks on him are he's not exactly the strongest. His hand usage in pass rush is not consistent, and when attacking upfield, he does tend to get a little high with the pads, and he does have an arrest in 2024. He had a confrontation with a tow truck driver. That is the only thing in terms of character, but I mean, look, I can kind of understand getting a little frustrated with a tow truck driver again. I promise I know how to talk. Don't know the exact details, but this is a one-off. It's the only character issue he's had. But Shannon, why is Abdul Carter at number one for you?
Because he's the best defensive player on
By a
the
mile.
board. There's no reason why he is not the first defensive player taken off the board at all.
Arguably number one pick.
He could be number one. I mean, for real, I don't know.
Tennessee needs everything.
Yes. Oh, they need it all. I mean, for real, they can start with him, which is the crazy part about it, is they can start with him. They can build a defense with him. That man can flat out play. I mean, he made Ashton Genty look really, really made him look like he wasn't the best runner in the nation in the playoff. They went through guys. Penn State's defense was incredible. James Franklin knows what he's talking about when it comes down to coaching football. My man can do his thing over there over Penn State. He knows what he's doing. Man, if you're not seeing Abdul Carter play, I'm sorry. That man can ball. So Abdul Carter, number one defense player, possibly best player in the draft. I would probably say best player. I would dare say best player in the draft, I'd have to say.
I kind of agree with you, in all honesty. I think there's two guys who you can throw a potential generational prospect label on. It's Abdul Carter and it's Travis Hunter. I just like that we know what Abdul Carter is going to be in the NFL. With Travis Hunter, it's a little tricky. Like, where is he going to play? I don't think he's going to be able to play both sides of the ball because it's just too much. There is not enough time in the day for him to be able to skillfully play both positions. I think if anyone's going to give him a shot to do it, it's going to be Cleveland because they are that desperate for help on both sides of the ball and just some type of excitement for that city and for that franchise. But Jason, why is Abdul Carter your number one defensive line?
Because he's coming to the New York Giants, baby. Let's go. Third pick in the draft. Carter's coming to the New York Giants. The second coming of Lawrence Taylor. Look, I didn't even need to write anything on my paper. It's just Abdul Carter. What else do you need to say? You can start rattling off stats. Dude, turn on the tape of this guy. He is a generational talent. He is going to be a destructive force in the next 8 to 10 years in the NFL. He is going to make some team very happy, and I'm hoping, again, it's the New York Giants at number 3, that he falls there. So when you see somebody play like him, that is just a phenomenal athlete who has the instincts that he does, who jumps off the TV screen. Because again, I grew up watching Lawrence Taylor, to me, the greatest football player of all time. But when you see someone like him, he's the second coming of Micah Parsons. You talk about, someone he kind of plays like. So when you see that type of talent, you can't overlook it. He would be number one. So like if the Titans didn't need a desperate quarterback, if Mayonnaise Levis could actually play, they would be taking Carter, but Mr. Mayo can't play, so they need Killer Cam there in Tennessee. Cleveland, we don't know what they're kind of doing. Travis Hunter, I hate that he would go there, but you talk about a crazy defense and a decent offense if they can figure out the quarterback position, especially kind of that second round. But if he falls to the New York Giants, we had a good defense last year, but you throw him on that defensive line, the NFC East is going to be in trouble because he is a disruptive force that is going to make some noise. And you have to there's not a lot of players you have to game plan for. And that's why I love me some Lawrence Taylor, because you talked about back in the day, teams would have to game plan just for him. They didn't game plan for the defense or the offense. They game plan for, okay, what are we going to do to try to stop Lawrence Taylor? And those teams couldn't do it. So Abdul Carter is that kind of player, and you got me hyped up. So if we get him as a New York Giant, I'll get my shrine going too, along with your Mason Graham if your Carolina Panthers draft him. So I am excited about him because the upside of him is a Hall of Fame talent.
Without a doubt.
Nothing else you can say.
And like generational prospects, Hall of Fame talent, that I feel like it gets thrown around a little bit too much just because it makes for really good headlines.
But he's got it.
This is a guy where you can justifiably put that label on him.
No BS. He's got it, dude.
Hands down.
And that'll do it for this week's episode of the Gridiron Address. Thanks, y'all, for watching. We'll be back next week wrapping up top 5 for linebackers and corners and safeties. Going to be another fun episode. You might see Jason and Shannon back on it again, but hope everybody has a good